Welcome to Bamford Rose and forum chat time. This week I've selected a forum chat which is actually written about us and a car which was being or is being serviced here. The car was a V12 VS which came in for service and should have been in and out in the same day. But sometimes the most easiest of jobs don't go to plan and niggling problems can cause a breakdown. We've seen this particular niggle many times over. This won't be the last, it's certainly not the first. But it seemed unusual to the owner, who posted up for opinions from others. And judging by the wide-ranging comments, there are many different views on the potential problem and the reasons why and the fixes. So here's what the owner of the car posted up on the forum. So it's a V12 VS and it's a glitch with its automated paddle shift gear system. That morning, just before arriving here, he was at a junction in first, went to pull away, gave it some throttle, and it had slipped into neutral. He'd also reported to me that the car just wasn't comfortable pulling away from stationary, maybe a bit of clutch judder. Absolutely nothing new. Quirky problems like that is pretty commonplace with the sport shift system. Then quirky and unrepeatable intermittent behaviour like this is normally always root cause within the transmission control module itself. When the car was dropped off to us and it was in the car park, we needed to reverse it to get it into the workshop, and on coming out of neutral into first and then reverse, it wouldn't select reverse. Went through several times of actually trying to engage reverse, turn the car off, turn it back on again, and finally it selected reverse. We then hooked the laptop up to the diagnostic system and looked at all the transmission fault codes that were stored and missed shifts and gear selection history data. The transmission control unit was also on pretty old software, and the factory don't just do software updates willy-nilly, they actually do it for good reason. So you need to be on the latest software level for everything, every module on the car, to make sure the car is behaving the best it can be. Before trying to identify what is potentially wrong with the transmission, then on the SportShift car, using the AMDS system, you can put it into rapid learn mode, which learns gear, clutch positions, all adaptions that are written to the erasable programmable side of the transmission control module memory. If the transmission control unit is reprogrammed with a new software version, that immediately puts the transmission control unit and the gearbox system into that rapid learning mode. The transmission control unit also reported a few internal CAN communication error messages. And this is the point where you reach a bit of a fork in the road. In our experience, when the transmission control unit is glitching to this extent, a breakdown is inevitable. It could be in the short term, or it could last a little bit longer. But breakdowns are best avoided if you can. The hassle of the lost time and a tow truck journey somewhere is better avoided by actually identifying a problem, especially at service, fixing it, and preventing a breakdown. Now, this happens quite frequently, unfortunately, and if you look on the exterior case of the transmission control module for those cars, then you start to understand why. It has the words Magneti Marelli written on the back. You can make your own mind up as to whether that name is synonymous with the best quality in the world, or producer of electronics that would embarrass a hobbyist at-home electronics builder. It would have been much better if the electronic architecture was something like Bosch. So the fork in the road for us as the garage is to go ahead and repair the problem, which in this case would have been reflash the TCU and put the car in its rapid learn mode, or knowing that the TCUs are temperamental at the best of the times, inform the customer to say, hey, we need to update your transmission control module. It can fall over. What would you like us to do? There's pros and cons for each approach. I think it's very weak of a garage to ask a customer what to do. You as garage owners should know what the best course of action is and take it. In this case, the problem is obviously developing and root cause needs to be found to prevent a breakdown. Also on the part of the garage, I had a phone call earlier this week on exactly this same subject. Someone phoned up to say that they were interested in buying a car. that was for sale, proudly boasting a Bamford Rose service. He gave me the reg number of the car and I looked at last year's records and found the service sheets for this particular car. When I opened our service sheets and got to the page of any particular noteworthy issues, the wrap sheet was the longest that I've seen in quite a while. Clutch was worn out, it got an oil leak, wishbone arm bushes across the whole car needed renewing, brakes worn out, door module failures. The list was endless, and this car needed a minimum of 15k just to put it on the straight and narrow. I'd advised the guy that was potentially looking to buy this car to walk away unless it was being purchased at a distressed sale price. At which point he was very, very grateful for that insight, but then said, well, hey, the seller is boasting a Bamford Rose service. He might well be, I said, but what he's not showing you are the raw service inspection sheets, which paints an entirely different picture. If we're not already there, then we are building our badge, our stamp in the service book to be the very most valuable. And if we stamp a service book and then one day later the car is sold, but let the car out the door harbouring issues, then we are allowing cars to go through our workshop not having a correct fix applied to them, which in turn will devalue our service stamp in the marketplace. So at that fork in the road, do we flash the transmission control module, risk of failure, or do we pose that question to the customer and allow him to decide? Easy answer to that question would be, well, what would I do if it were my car? Well, I wouldn't want to risk a breakdown because typically breakdowns happen just at the most inconvenient place and time. The car is obviously exhibiting faults, so it needs to be corrected. And the first job on the list to do is to simply reflash the module, update its software, put it on a rapid learn and go and drive the car and data log it with a laptop and see if the strange glitchy behavior is resolved. In more cases than not, that does solve the particular problem. Unfortunately, in this car's case, the transmission module didn't make it through the reflash procedure. As I've said before, it's not the first and it certainly won't be the last. Remember that badge it's got on the outside case? I took great lengths to explain this entire process to the owner of this car, then saw he posted on Facebook to seek opinions of forum members. Now in this case, as long as the specialist has got AMDS, it doesn't really matter who the specialist is, because AMDS guides you through a process where you just select buttons on the laptop system to identify the program you want to flash in and press the go button. There is literally no screw, no knob, no button that you could press incorrectly. It's flashing factory software into the transmission control unit. If the transmission control unit fails during that process, then it just goes to show that it was faulty to start with and glitching and on its way to failure. Unfortunately, this car will need a new transmission control module. It's also got leaking transmission oil pipes, which is really common on every single car of a certain age. So it's driven in of its own, under its own steam, but unfortunately it can't drive out. And this is very similar to when a car will come in with windows which don't drop on press of the door handle, or the doors do not lock properly and it's the door modules that are playing up. At that point, you can disconnect the modules from the harness, reconnect them, and sometimes that springs them back to life. If that doesn't work, then you need to reprogram the door module, because reprogramming is sort of a second chance to spring it back into life. And unfortunately, that can fail sometimes, needing a new door module. So for instance, in that case, the car could drive in and all it doesn't do is drop the window when you pull the door handle. But then perhaps after flashing, when you reconnect the door module, the window sinks all the way to the bottom and you can't control it at all. Inevitably, the door module was root cause and it needs fixing. It's just that whilst the window in that case could be raised to the maximum and the car could drive away, obviously a transmission control module that fails prevents the car from driving away. So on reflection, I don't see an issue with the process that we went through. The car was destined to break down at some point. it's experiencing glitches. It wouldn't go into gear for us. It popped out of gear as the customer was dropping it off for service. It's a very weak approach for a garage not to advise a customer what to do. And it's sort of no win for the garage, because if the garage had advised that the transmission control module could fall over, or perhaps done nothing about it, just said, sorry sir, yeah, you've just had a one-off glitch, probably it won't happen again, we can fix it when the problem becomes more intermittent, then 10 minutes down the road that customer breaks down, then the complaint on a Facebook group would be that, hey, they've serviced my car but I've just broken down. It was the right thing to do to reprogram the transmission control unit, and unfortunately that transmission control module never recovered and a new one is needed. The plus side is that when the car drives away from here, it won't have a breakdown looming. The downside is obviously a component on the car has failed, and that's going to cost some money to repair. Now, there's a few things that I wanted to discuss about some of the comments made. First was by the original poster. It says, if the transmission control upgrade process fails, can it not be saved? Is the transmission control unit permanently bricked? It then goes on to say, I'm generally intrigued as from an IT perspective, they are just a bit of non-volatile memory holding a bit of code, aren't they? Question mark. Well, the bit that's failed here is more than likely the erasable programmable read-only memory, EEPROM, and anyone that's in electronics or IT should know that EEPROMs are not a component for life. They have a number of read and write functions before they ultimately fail. Now, the time to fail is ultimately millions of read and write processes away. But by nature of the component failing at some point, there are bound to be rogue components that fail earlier than others. I'm not in IT, and I know that. So whether it be door control, window control, door modules, the dashboard itself, the body control module, engine ECU, or transmission control unit, all of the modules on the car, at some point, if there's some glitchy behavior, will need a reprogram. Whether the module makes it through that reflash is not 100% given, but the module not making it through that reflash is indicative that the module is on the way to fail anyway. So whichever way you cut it, the right thing to do is to reprogram the module and then go from there. And the only way that a garage could be somehow in the wrong is if they were not using AMDS as the tool to reprogram modules. If it was some dodgy bit of third-party aftermarket equipment, then you could certainly question that process. Electronic modules is pretty much the only thing that an extended warranty is good for. You know, mechanicals, engine, gearbox, normally bomb-proof. Everything else, drive lines, suspension bushes, they're all wear items anyway, and the extended warranty is never going to cover a wear item. But if anybody asks me of the usefulness of an extended warranty, then it is to cover electronic modules, because across the car they are quite ropey compared to, say, other European cars where in the lifetime of those cars you wouldn't be replacing the same modules. Sometimes it can be tracker modules or other electronic problems, bad earths for instance, that cause glitches to happen. But unfortunately on Aston's, periodic module failure is par for the course, unfortunately. Hope you like this forum chat, and as always, if you can like, comment and subscribe, it really helps us. We'll see you on the next forum chat.